Okay, we're rolling. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. I have to be kind of quick because I don't have a lot of battery life left on my iPad. So I'm going to get right to it. This is a fun one. For the for those of you who've watched me for a while, you know that my family, my mother, my brother, and I are all kind of like varying degrees of psychic, and our connectivity seems to go up and down. We're not as consistently tied in as some of the really amazing psychics on YouTube, who I love. But we get from time to time we get some real humdingers, and of course that was what my new book is all about, like the fun and funny family synchronicities and magical, mystical events, if you will. Well, my brother Steve used to get regular visits from our brother Justin, who died just after childbirth. So it's just the three of us brothers, but we never had Justin in our lives growing up. But Steve, who's my younger brother, has had visits from Justin for about 20 years. Like he would interact with him, he would have visions, and then other times he kind of felt like he was halfway to heaven to interact with him, and we've gotten valuable information from Justin at times about the family or things that were going on, or like important news would come from Justin at just the right time. He would visit Steve and relay important information that we really needed to know. And this is really what my two books have been about. I mean, and other stuff too, but a lot of it has been about that connection. And then just a few years ago, Steve no longer was receiving visits from Justin. It just sort of trailed off, and that's something we're still looking into as far as the why of that. But as far as I, as far as I know from a short reading with Kim Carey a while ago, it sounded like Justin was in our lives when we needed him most, and that he was moving on to do other things, and including he was supposedly, apparently helping people cross over during COVID. He was helping out with that for a while, and some other stuff. But anyway, so Steve's connectivity has been, I guess, kind of low for maybe 2 or 3 years. But the last couple of weeks, he's starting to get some ring a ding a dingers now, and so we're wondering if he's maybe kind of going into an upswing period, which would be kind of neat. So I think it was last Monday, yeah, a little more than a week ago. Steve had a dream about a key, and the key was to his mailbox. Steve lives in the bag over here is making some sound. That was pretty loud. Uh, Maybe somebody saying hello. Steve lives in a retirement complex. He has a handicap accessible apartment in a senior citizen complex in the suburbs of Buffalo. And so everyone has mailboxes that are at the entrance of this facility, which, geez, it's got 3 floors, so it must have at least 150 apartments, maybe. I don't know, I'm just guessing. So Steve had a key to his mailbox, and about a year ago, that key just went missing. It One day he had it, and then it was gone. And of course, my mom helped him get a replacement from the management of the facility. But that first key was long gone, and so last week Steve has a dream about a key. Well, actually, about that key, about the key to the mailbox, but he doesn't know why. And then, wouldn't you know it, 2 days later, my mom found the key. Everyone in the retirement complex has their own storage space, and the storage spaces are in a side room that each storage space is separated by chicken wire, and then they lock. So you have your own space for your own stuff, and it's pretty large space. And my mom was putting away Steve's was it St. Patrick's Day decorations, because she helps to put his decorations up and down, because he's unable to stand or walk, being in a wheelchair. So of course he would not be able to hang his own decorations. So that is something that she often does for him. And when she went to the storage closet, or maybe it was to get the St. Patrick's Day stuff, right? Because St. Patrick's Day is coming up. I got it backwards. So she went to get the St. Patrick's Day stuff, not put it away. I don't pay attention to St. Patrick's Day if you haven't noticed. And no offense, St. Patrick or anybody Irish or anybody who cares. No offense. So she goes to get the decorations, and wouldn't you know it, but his mailbox key is hanging on one of the decorations. So Steve has the dream about the key. 2 days later, Mama finds the key in the storage area, which is neat. And then he had a kind of mini follow-up to that, smaller one, but still kind of good. A couple days after that, and within the last week, Steve was telling my mom how he likes Johnny Mathis, how he likes to listen to Johnny Mathis. And so he flipped on the TV, and I think it was PBS, and guess who's on? Johnny Mathis. And the funny thing is, a very similar thing happened to me about a month or two ago when I was performing at I play a lot of solo gigs at area bars, and I was playing at a bar in Hamburg, New York, which is along the lake here in Buffalo, in the south towns of Buffalo, right along Lake Erie. So it's beautiful. You in the summer, you step right out on a patio and you're looking over the enormous lake. Anyway, in winter, obviously you're not outside, but it's still pretty scenic. And so I was playing at this bar in Hamburg, and the bar owner tends to like a lot of country music. I think he likes both new and old country. I don't really like new country, but I like old country. I love Johnny Cash and Hank Williams Sr., that era. And so I do a bunch of those songs, and I especially I'll do more of that material when I'm there in particular, because I think I know that he likes it, and I think his patrons like it. So anyway, if you know the song I was playing, the song Jackson by Johnny Cash and June Cash, it's a duet, but I was singing both the parts. And I have sung it with a female vocalist from time to time, not in a good while, but that's the way it really should be sung, because it's a call and response song. It's a very funny, snarky little song, kind of a couple bickering within the song, and but playfully. And so I'm singing Jackson, and I sang the song, and then I'm on to my next song, and I look across the distance of the bar, a good 50 feet, and there's a TV. There, of course, a ton of TVs with sports on, and in between commercials, when you know it, up pops a placard or whatever of Johnny and June Cash. I don't know what the context was. I don't know what they were advertising, because obviously the TV I couldn't hear the audio. I could just see the visual. But Johnny and June Cash pop up one song after I sing Jackson, which they performed. So kind of just like Steve's Johnny Mathis thing. So those are the little fun little synchronicities that, come about in our lives to remind us of, that I guess that everything's connected and meaningful, not meaningless. So but Steve's key dream is awesome. And the fact that he had the Johnny Mathis follow up is good. So now we're waiting to see what's next. Will he get some other goodies? Is he kind of getting back to feeling a little more connective? And actually, there is a kind of a third thing too. He was going to go in for a we'll just say a medical appointment, and Steve gets pretty nervous about medical appointments, just generally. He's self-conscious. He's such an adorable human being, but he's self-conscious, and I am too. So he gets nervous about being in doctors' offices sometimes, or visiting doctors. So he was feeling a little anxiety about a little procedure that he was going to have, nothing major, last week, and we were all praying for him, of course. And yeah, just sending out a ton of prayer for that it would be smooth sailing, and it was. It went great. And he said that he was kind of ramping up his own prayer, and when he was praying, he heard slash felt the words, "You will prevail." So he got a kind of calming message the night before he went to the doctor's office. And that was it. So that's pretty cool. Excuse me. I've been doing my usual nighttime prayers. I find that they help me get to sleep. I love to do visualizations are kind of my favorite. I often, especially when Shay, who's right here next to me, you can't see him. Where is he? Oh, where is he? Where is he? He's way down there. Oh, it's just his little toe, just the top of your head. Sorry, buddy. When Shay's with me at night, I especially like to, get petting him and get the prayers going. And I often envision us sort of encircled in white light, like a light that starts from inside of us and travels around us. And I like to envision it sort of like spiraling outward from us. And as it's spiraling, I'm envisioning like it's almost like wrapping something with cellophane. Like the more you wrap it, the core contents are that much more protected in the center. So I'm envisioning like this light spinning out like around us like a big ball, and it gets as big as the bed and the bedroom, and then as big as the whole house. And then I imagine it surrounding my whole house and like down even into the ground beneath the house, like so that it's an uninterrupted circle. And it just keeps going. And I'll just keep expanding it. I'll expand it, sometimes I'll expand it very slowly in my mind, like so that it stretches to cover the whole block, or I'll imagine it just sort of like just spinning and spinning and spinning and just consistently until it pushes out. And I imagine like everything in the neighborhood sort of being enveloped in it, like all the trees, all of the birds and the squirrels and everything in the ground, the sleeping ants and bees or whatever the heck else is hibernating right now, and just pushing it outward and outward. And then I'll go a block at a time. Sometimes I'll go a whole neighborhood. Sometimes I'll really push, and then I'll try to do the whole city. And then a lot of times I imagine kind of then pushing it out, like so that it's global. And I don't precisely know why this is a relaxing thing, but it's always a protective thing and always a connective thing, and it's filling it with hope and love and power and everything good. I keep it really clean, and I ask to be, that we all be protected as this light is spreading. And something about that process usually I fall asleep. I usually fall asleep while I'm doing the prayer, or I often do. And I often have a little bit of music going on quietly next to my bed too, on my iPhone through a little speaker to help that along. Excuse me. So I don't know. Just thought I'd mention it. I like to blur subjects together, as you know. So that's tonight's thoughts. Really wanted to share the dream that Steve had. I thought that was really cool. And as just a final little tag here, I had a really odd dream about, for lack of better description, a very simple description of it, I had a dream about greedy people and watching these greedy people negotiate and fight over like resources, and finding it all kind of gross, and standing there and sort of even trying to interject like, hey, like to the people who were trying to get more money out of the other people for something that the other people needed. Like, you don't need to do this. You don't need to be this greedy because you're only hurting these other people. You can share it more instead. But nobody really wanted to listen. But what was funny about it is, as the greed ramped up and I just watched it, it was like suddenly reality just popped. It's like the universe just stopped what was going on. And all of the people who were engaged in this negotiation that were sort of behaving badly, they still existed, but not in the same way anymore. I could actually see this. They went from being like human beings to being just like microbial life. They were just like blood cells and microbes. And I could see them just like, almost like they were almost like in a bloodstream. But it was like reality itself sort of popped and reset. And as they were reduced to like microbial life, I could sense that they were still them, and they knew they were still them, but excuse me, now they had no interest. There was no further negotiation going on. Their lives had been completely simplified. Like they had been simplified to a much more basic life form. And so it was like they were sort of, I guess you could say, forced to start over, seemingly almost from scratch. And that matches other dreams I've had in the last couple of weeks too. There was another dream I had about events just repeating and repeating, and trying to figure out how to break this loop of repetition. And I kind of feel like that's what's going on now, like in the world, like with some of the not great actors politically who are trying to keep us in old energies of war and separation and disharmony. And I've said many times, it all feels old, like we should be further ahead already as a species, as a planet, and they're trying to hold us back so that they can exist here longer. But I would say what I have continued to say, which is that I feel very confident they're going to lose, and we are transitioning to a newer world. Yet we're not quite feeling that way about it yet. We don't quite have that optimism quite yet, and so that is trying on people. I understand. So yeah, it's like in this other dream, basically universal forces or God or the creator got tired of the greediness and self-serving nature and reset reality. But what was funny about that was I was outside of it. I mean, not that I'm the most selfless person in the world, because I'm not. I try to be as unselfish as possible, and I try to be charitable as much as I can be, and try to live up to the ideals that we preach sometimes here in the spiritual community. But I don't always succeed. But I was like outside of what was happening to them. I was watching it from a distance. Like I don't think that I was reduced to microbial life like they were, which I don't. What am I trying to say by that? So maybe if somehow there was some kind of big universal reset, maybe not everyone would be forced to go through it. Maybe some people would be spared because they had already learned some of the lessons that these other people needed to learn instead. So, but I don't really think that the creator is going to zap the rest of the world into microbes anytime soon. But you never know. Oh boy. These videos are nutty. Mine always are. Oh well. So thanks for tuning in. Don't know, as usual, what to make of this one, but I hope you got something out of it. Okay. Feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe. Nobody ever does, which is fine. I mean, nobody ever shares or subscribes. It never goes up, but that's okay. It's all right. Okay. Thanks very much. Take care. Be well. See you soon.